When I started looking at the vaccine ingredients, I said, all right, what's this aluminum? And what's this polysorbate 80? And I stumbled on a literature that scared me to death. And the literature that I stumbled on showed that the drug manufacturers have trouble getting a lot of drugs across the blood-brain barrier into the brain. And so in order to maximize delivery of drugs into the brain, they needed a technology that would help when attached to the drug to get it into the brain. So they developed a technology of nanoparticles. They used nanoparticles attached to drugs and showed in animal studies that the drugs went into the brain. Then they took an emulsifier and bound it to the nanoparticle, to the drug, and found in animal studies that it increased penetration into the brain of the drug by 20-fold with the emulsifier. And the emulsifier that they used was polysorbate 80. And so when I saw these articles in the literature, it scared me to death. Because the framework of the technology that's used for most childhood vaccines is that framework. A nanoparticle attached to the bacterial and viral antigens coated by polysorbate 80. And so when asked, when I did my investigation, I said, why is polysorbate 80 in the vaccines? And I was told it's to help disperse the vaccine material away from the injection site. Well, how far, right? Because we know polysorbate 80 can cause infertility, but also can get into the brain. And if it's coating a nanoparticle like aluminum, which is bound to bacterial and viral antigens, then we're not just getting aluminum and polysorbate into the brain, we're getting bacterial and viral antigens or anything else that's attached to the aluminum nanoparticle that's a contaminant in the vaccine. And so people said to me, well, but it's not in the MMR. I said, no. But let's look at what's in the MMR. Sorbitol. Sorbitol, which is a relative of polysorbate 80. I'm not an expert at it. I just read what the science says. The science says, do not inject sorbitol into the body. This is design defect. And this is knowing that they could have made a safer shot because they're using a technology that they already know gets into the brain. And when you have 1 in 6 kids with neurodevelopmental disabilities, you have to scratch your head and say, well, all the studies that were shown here today don't show that in unvaccinated kids.